Hey guys, how's it going? It's on 4 here, and welcome to a Destiny video. In this video, we'll be talking about the story behind the last word. Recently, I've been getting a lot into the Destiny lore. I decided to share a little bit with you guys. If you play Destiny, you may appreciate learning a little bit more about the weapons you may use as a guardian. And if you don't play Destiny, I hope you find this entertaining. Anyways, for this video, we'll be taking a look at the story behind the last word. I'm writing this from memory, some mine, but not all. The facts won't sync with the reality, but they'll be close, and there's no one who could say otherwise. So for all intents and purposes, this will be the story of a settlement we call Palamon, and the horrors that follow all its brief peace. I remember home, and the stories of a paradise we'll get to see someday. Of a city, shining even in the night. Palamon didn't shine, but it was a sanctuary of a sort. We settled in the heart of a range that stretched the horizon. Wooden mountains that shot with purpose towards the sky. Winters were harsh, but the trees and pigs hid us from the world. We talked about moving on, sometimes, striking out for the city, but it was just a longing. Drifters came and went. On occasion they would stay, but rarely. We had no real government, but there was a real flaw. Basic tenets agreed upon by all, and eventually overseen by Magistrate Loken. And there you have it. No government. Until there was. I was young, so I barely understood. I remember Loken as a hard-working man who became broken. Mostly I think he was sad. Sad and frightened. As his fingers tightened on Palamon, people laughed. Those who stayed saw our days became grey. Loken's protection from the fallen, from ourselves, became dictatorial. Looking back, I think maybe Loken had just lost too much of himself, his family. But everyone lost something, and some of us had nothing to begin with. My only memory of my parents is a haze, like a daydream, and a small light, like the spark of their souls. It's not anything I do on. They left me early, taken by dregs. Palamon raised me from there. The family I called my own, cared for me as if I was their natural born son. And life was good. Being the only life I knew, my judgment is skewed. And if it wasn't easy, pocket by a loss if it was. But I would call it good. Until, of course, it wasn't. Until two men entered my world. One a light, the other, the darkest shadow I will ever know. The man I would come to know as Jaren Ward, my third father, and quite possibly my closest friend, came to Palamon from the south. I was just a boy, but I never forget his silhouette on the empty trail as he made his slow walk into town. I never seen anything like him. Maybe none of us had. He said he was only passing through, and I believed him. Still do, but life can get in the way of intent. And it often does. I can picture that day with near perfect clarity. All of the details though, every nuance, every moment. The memory that sticks in my mind is the iron on Jaren's hip. A cannon that looked both pristine and lifted. Like a relic of every battle he ever fought. Hung low at his waist. A trophy and a warning. This man was dangerous, but there was a light about him. A pureness to his weight that seemed to hint that his ire was something earned, not carelessly given. I'd been the first to see him as he approached, but soon most of Palamon had turned out to greet him. My father held me back as everyone stood in silence. Jaren didn't make a sound behind his sleek racist helmet. He looked just like the heroes in the stories. And to this day, I'm not sure one way or the other if the silence between the townspeople and the adventurer was born out of fear or respect. I like to think the later, but any truth I tried to place on the moment would be on my own making. As we waited for Magistrate Loken to arrive and make an official greeting, my patience got the best of me. I shook free of my father's heavy hand and made a short sprint across the court, stopping a few paces where this new curiosity stood, a man unlike any other. I stared up to him, and he lowered his attention to me, his eyes hidden behind the thick, tilted visor of his headgear. My sight quickly fell to his sidearm. I was transfixed by it. I imagined all the places that weapon had been, all the wonders it had seen, the horrors it had endured. My imagination there from one heroic act to the next. I barely registered when he began to kneel, holding out the iron as if it was an offering. But my eyes locked into the piece, mesmerized. I recalled turning back to my father and seeing the looks on the faces of everyone I knew. There was a worry there. My father slowly shaking his head as if pleading with me to ignore the gift. I turned back to the man I would come to know as Jaren Ward, the finest hunter the system has ever known, and one of the greatest guardians to ever defend the Traveler's Light. And I took the weapon in my hand, carefully, gently, not to use, but to observe, to imagine, to feel its weight and know its truth. That was the first time I held last word, but unfortunately, not the last. Loken's men found Jaren Ward in the courtyard, where this had all begun. 9 guns trained on him, 9 cold hearts waiting for the order. Magistrate Loken, standing behind them, looked pleased with himself. Jaren Ward stood in silence, his ghost peeked over his shoulder. Loken took in the crowd before stepping forward, as if to claim the ground, his ground. You question me? There was a venom in his words. This is not your home. I remember Loken's gestures here, making a show of it all. Everyone else was still, quiet. I wanted father to stop what was happening. Looking back now, I realized that he didn't want it to stop. No one did. As Loken belittled Jaren Ward, taunted him, enumerated his crimes and sins, my eyes were stuck on Jaren's pistol, fixed to his hip, his steady hand resting calmly on his belt. I remember the pistol's weight, effortlessly, and my concerns faded. I understood. This is our town! My town! Loken was shouting now. He was going to make a show of Jaren, teach the people of Palamon a lesson in obedience. Jaren spoke, clear and calm. Not anymore. Loken laughed dismissively. He had 9 guns on his side. Those are gotta be your last words then, boy? The movement was a flash, quick as a chain of lightning. Jaren Ward spoke as he moved. Yours, not mine. Smoke trailed from Jaren's revolver. Loken hit the ground, a dark hole in his forehead, eyes staring into eternity. Jaren stared down the 9 guns trained on him. One by one, they lowered the aim, and the rest of my life began, where, in a few short years, so many others would be ended.